Pricing architecture and costings. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about pricing architecture for your brand, costings against your development and sampling and production, and how you can negotiate with the factory. Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm a fashion product developer. I have 17 years fashion industry experience, and I have worked for some very well-known brands in the market across Europe and the UK and international markets, from design right through to product development, buying and sales. So I'm well experienced to help you. I run a fashion consultancy. I help up and coming and established brands to create more sales through client profile and brand protection. I also help postgraduates and undergraduate degree students, helping them to make confident career decisions and understanding the industry. So let's talk fashion. Pricing architecture. First of all, you need to be sure and clear on your brand market position when it comes to pricing architecture. To be able to do that easily, you conduct market research and you map it out. In simple terms, you create a document, whether it be on your laptop or a sheet of paper, and you think of 5 or 6 brands that are adjacent to your brand, an aspirational brand, and a lower market position brand. Think about where your brand is situated amongst all of those labels, all of those brands. You position your brand in the most correct place possible. That's then your brand architecture, where you will see yourself in the market. Another way to establish that position is by conducting a pricing architecture exercise, a very similar model, but you pull 1 or 2 pieces from your range, actually 3 pieces from your range, a basic piece, a commercial piece, and a high fashion piece. And in a very similar manner, you go to those other brands that you've already listed in your brand architecture and you pull as similar as possible 3 styles from each of those brands, a basic style, a commercial style, and a high fashion style, with similar application and make and fit details. And you understand those price points, put those price points on your on a document on your laptop or on a piece of paper. You map them out. Again, that will determine where you want your price point to sit and to situate itself. Maybe do this exercise before you actually do the brand architecture exercise, because you should be sure of where your brand sits in the market after the pricing exercise. Because even though you'll have a goal and a dream of where you want your brand to sit, the market will dictate, because you're not going to be able to price a sweater above a high design brand such as Louis Vuitton, for example. So you need to understand what they are selling their pieces at, or what designer bridge brands are selling their pieces at, to be able to map your brand out if you offer a sweater, for example. I hope that makes sense. In regards to your costings against style and development, so you've got your retail price, or you think you've got your retail price at this point, and you also understand where your brand sits within the market amongst the other brands in the market. So you've got that retail price. Then you need to understand what it's going to cost you to actually produce these samples, to develop these samples, to develop these fabrics and yarns, and then to develop production. You list those prices on a costing sheet for yourself, and that is called your costing price. Do not forget to add your packaging and label costings, your back neck tabs, side tabs, any logo, any packaging and print work on your external packaging. List all of those costs. Also list your shipping fees, whether it be by plane or by sea. And also do not forget to list your importing taxes and your tariff fees. Not every country in the world will have taxes and fees, but most do. So do check on that, and don't rely on the factory to tell you what those importing and exporting costs are, because they won't. That's down to you as a buyer, as a designer, as a brand owner, to understand what the garment costs in bulk production and in sample form, what it costs to bring into the UK or to bring into other areas of the world. Every part of the world differs, so do check on that. The factory might communicate to you the cost of air and sea. They more than likely will, but don't assume. Make sure you talk to the factory on those costs. Some include it in their production, some include it into their sampling, because they'll have relationships with logistics, but don't assume. Do openly talk. Don't get caught out with missing a price. All of those prices go on your costing sheet, including your bulk production costs. That will then break down, and you'll be able to understand what your individual style cost will be. And then you can give it a percentage uplift. You can then compare it back to your pricing architecture, the exercise that you've conducted and completed, to understand where or whereabouts you need that piece, that sweater, that garment to retail at, given its competitors or given its adjacent brands of where it sits in the market, that you can't go higher and you can't go lower. It has its own position within the market. You know the costing price, and you need to understand what your overheads are, your personal overheads are, to be able to uplift your percentage for your own design service time, which will give you your retail price. Whatever percentage that is, try and keep to that percentage uplift. Try and dictate, as opposed to letting the factory dictate to you what the price points should be for their costings. Try and take your required margins to them. So you worked backwards. You always understand your retail price, knock off your percentage uplift of what you need your service costs, your design service costs to be, or your margin to be, and that will leave you with your cost price. That cost price has to be broken down into everything that you've listed within your costing sheet, including your packaging, your label, your import, your export, your shipping costs, your tariff costs, your everything cost needs to be broken down into what money is left. You can negotiate with the factory. You can negotiate on future commitment, growing units, waiting for your production as opposed to rushing and needing your production ASAP. You can book ahead production. That will allow you to negotiate on your price points. You can buy in bulk fabrics and yarns. Ask the factory to hold bulk fabrics and yarns for you, and you can take your sampling from them, from that. You can buy grige yarns and fabrics and dye them when the time comes. You can outsource your own fabrics and yarns and ship them into the factory when needs be, and have yourself and your team do that, as opposed to letting the factory do that if you feel you can get better competitive prices. There are ways to negotiate with the factory to get lesser cost prices. You can buy pack samples. You can run and commit to more than one styles at any one time. Have a think outside the box of ways that you can give the factory something in order for them to give you back a better price. That's negotiation. I hope that helps. Comment fashion, and I'll send you a free strategy call where we can jump on a call together. We can talk about any pressure points that you have within your own brand and your own collection, anywhere from design development right through to delivery and sales. I can talk to you about my services, talk to you about work with me packages, talk to you about the promotions that I've got in hand. Thank you very much for listening. Until the next video, bye bye for now.